Welcome to Drips News, your source for up-to-the-minute global updates. Stay connected online as we bring you today's top stories, from the challenges facing Mount Fuji to international political tensions and the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We'll also cover Pope Francis's recovery and Tesla's latest recall. Don't miss a beat, follow us online. Mount Fuji, a cherished UNESCO World Heritage Site, is grappling with over-tourism, transforming it into a trash mountain. To combat this, Shizuoka and Yamanashi prefectures are implementing new rules for the 2025 climbing season, July to September. Climbers must now pay a 4,000 yen, $27 permit fee and book online, limiting daily visitors to 4,000. This doubles the 2024 tourist tax, previously a suggested 1,000 yen donation. Governor Kotaro Nagasaki emphasizes comprehensive safety measures to preserve Mount Fuji for future generations. Beyond overcrowding, inadequate gear and insufficient supplies have led to climber emergencies. Shizuoka Prefecture now requires hikers to complete a safety class and pass a test. Additionally, the mountain will be closed from 2 p.m. to 3 a.m. daily, except for those staying in mountain huts. This initiative mirrors other Japanese attractions, such as the Itsukushima Shrine and Otaru, which are adopting measures like entry fees and security patrols to manage over-tourism and preserve their cultural and environmental integrity. Next, we turn to Greenland, where a diplomatic dispute is brewing. Greenland's prime minister has condemned an upcoming visit by U.S. officials, including Second Lady Usha Vance, as highly aggressive, further straining relations already frayed by President Donald Trump's past interest in annexing the Danish territory. Vance's visit, ostensibly to celebrate Greenlandic culture, is overshadowed by the planned presence of National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, which Prime Minister Mute B. Egede views with suspicion. Egede questioned Waltz's purpose, suggesting it's a show of force and a reinforcement of Trump's annexation ambitions. Trump's persistent interest in acquiring Greenland, driven by its rich, rare earth mineral deposits and strategic Arctic location, has sparked international concern, particularly as the U.S., Russia, and China compete for influence in the region. Despite repeated rejections from Denmark and Greenland, Trump has remained assertive, stating his intent to acquire the island by any means necessary. Now let's turn to a story about a portrait that has ignited a firestorm. Purposefully distorted, but was actually commissioned by his own supporters. President Donald Trump spent part of his Sunday railing against a portrait of himself that's been hanging in the Colorado state capitol for nearly 6 years. Nobody likes a bad picture or painting of themselves, but the one in Colorado, in the state capitol, put up by the governor, along with all other presidents, was purposefully distorted to a level that even I, perhaps, have never seen before, he griped on his Truth Social website. Trump said a portrait of President Barack Obama, created by the same artist, Sarah Boardman, looks wonderful. But the president slammed the image of himself as truly the worst. Jared should be ashamed of himself, Trump said, as he demanded that Polis take the portrait down. But Polis wasn't behind the painting, which was commissioned in 2018, before he took office, after a prankster placed a portrait of Russian President Vladimir Putin in a spot where an image of Trump should have been, but wasn't. There was no image of Trump at the time because no money had been raised to commission it. When that story went viral, Kevin Grantham, a Republican who was president of the Colorado Senate at the time, raised more than $10,000 via crowdfunding for the portrait. At the unveiling in 2019, the artist Boardman said her image was meant to stand the test of time. In 5, 10, 15, 20 years, he will be another president on the wall who is only historical background, and he needs to look neutral, she said, according to Colorado Public Radio. She also described her process to the Colorado Times Recorder in an interview conducted as she worked on the piece. When I start to paint a portrait, it is the portrait, likeness, and essence of the subject which I strive to portray, she said. Any personal feelings about any subject are not relevant and are left outside the studio per my training to leave those emotions at the door. 6 years later, however, and Trump's emotions appear to be getting the better of him as he railed against the portrait. President Donald Trump is escalating his attacks on law firms, authorizing sanctions against those filing lawsuits deemed frivolous against his administration. Critics decry the move as autocratic and hypocritical, given the numerous false legal claims made by Trump's own lawyers. The presidential memo empowers the Attorney General to revoke security clearances or terminate federal contracts of firms whose lawsuits are deemed unreasonable or vexatious. This follows executive orders targeting firms like Covington Burling, Perkins Coie, and Paul Weiss, effectively hindering their ability to represent clients. Trump ally Steve Bannon has stated the goal is to bankrupt these firms. A coalition of civil rights organizations, including the NAACP and ACLU, condemned the memo, arguing it aims to stifle dissent and weaponize the government against opponents. This action comes as the U.S. seeks to play a role in de-escalating the war in Ukraine. Amidst ongoing conflict, Ukrainian and U.S. delegations convened in Saudi Arabia to discuss strategies for protecting energy facilities and critical infrastructure, marking President Donald Trump's diplomatic effort to resolve the three-year Ukraine-Russia war. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff expressed optimism, suggesting Russian President Vladimir Putin desires peace and anticipating progress toward a Black Sea ceasefire. President Volodymyr Zelensky acknowledged constructive dialogue but emphasized the need for Putin to halt strikes. Defense Minister Rustem Umerov highlighted the pursuit of a just peace and strengthen security. However, a proposed 30-day ceasefire on energy infrastructure attacks faces skepticism due to continued strikes. A Russian drone attack on Kyiv resulted in casualties, including a child, while Russia claimed to have intercepted Ukrainian drones. Shifting gears, we now turn to a story of hope and resilience as Pope Francis makes his first public appearance following hospitalization. Pope Francis has been discharged from the hospital, making his first public appearance in over 5 weeks. The 88-year-old pontiff, hospitalized with pneumonia, waved to cheering crowds from his window at Gemelli Hospital in Rome. He expressed gratitude and made the sign of the cross before returning inside. Later, he waved from his car as he left for the Vatican, stopping to pray at the Papal Basilica. While he didn't deliver his weekly prayer, the Vatican released a statement in which Francis reflected on his hospitalization, expressing gratitude for the care he received and addressing global conflicts, including the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace agreement and the situation in Gaza. Doctors have advised a further 2 months of rest, acknowledging the long recovery process for his aging body. His medical team revealed that his life had been in danger on 2 occasions during his hospitalization. Now, from matters of the spirit to matters of engineering, Tesla is recalling over 46,000 of its Cybertrucks. Tesla is recalling over 46,000 Cybertrucks due to a cosmetic exterior trim panel that may detach, posing a road hazard. The voluntary recall affects Cybertrucks manufactured between November 2023 and February 2025, with free replacement of the cant rail offered at Tesla service centers. This recall comes as Tesla's value has dropped significantly, coinciding with CEO Elon Musk's role as an advisor to President Donald Trump. Musk's political involvement has sparked protests against Tesla, and Cybertruck owners have reported harassment and vandalism due to the vehicle's distinctive design. Tesla also faces increasing competition in the electric vehicle market and trade uncertainties stemming from new tariffs. That's all for today's news. Now, stay tuned for more exciting updates. That's all the news we have for you today, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Drips News for more developing stories and groundbreaking reports. We'll be back with more updates as they unfold, so keep it locked right here.